In this video, we're going to cover using Shotgun from the perspective of an artist that is going to use Maya. So the first step is going to be to log into the Shotgun desktop application, double click on the icon, make sure you're looking at the right URL, which is https://magicmdc.shotgunstudio.com, which is the same as the website URL. And then you're going to put in your username and password, which is the same as the website. But right now this is for the desktop application. It's going to launch a little icon over here on the system tray. So if you click on that, what you'll see is first of all your projects. And then when you click into your project, you'll see a loading animation. And once Shotgun desktop app has successfully connected to the site and installed itself, you'll see all of the applications that are integrated with Shotgun. So here we'll be using Maya. But we're actually going to launch Maya from the web application. But we have to do this first, otherwise the pipeline integrations will not work. So step 2 is going to be log in to Shotgun web application. All right. So the first thing you're going to see is going to be the Shotgun project that you're assigned to. So you can click into it, and here you can see the general activity of what's been going on in the project. This is the activity thread, and again we're here in the overview. Here you can see the people who are in the project. So you'll have a few more people than this. This is just for the demo video. So there's a couple ways you can see what's assigned to you. The most direct way that gets straight to the point of what your assigned tasks are is by clicking on My Tasks. So you'll see that for the dog asset you have the model task, and for the car asset you have the model task as well. So let's look at the car. When you click the car, here you see the activity stream of what's been going on. So here you see the concept artist did some pretty amazing work. And then we want to go over to tasks to look at what the tasks are. And then you see, okay, here you are, your artist 2 for this purposes of this demo. And it's ready to start. And it's the modeling task. You're supposed to start today and finish it tomorrow. Okay, so this is the most immediate way to kind of get to your task. Another way is if you want to just maybe have a peek at the whole production, see how things are going, you can go to the project itself versus My Tasks. You just go to the project. And then up here you see the films, sequences, shots, and assets. If you peek in here, you'll see kind of the general status of the entire production. So right now nothing's happening because it's haven't really populated it much for the demo. And then you could jump over to assets, and you can see everything that's going on with all the assets. And you could see who the concept person is. Maybe you want to give them some feedback, so you click here on the dog, and then you just add a quick note and say, this concept can be improved by thinking a bit more about dog anatomy. Let's say that was the concept you wanted, or the comment you wanted to put out there. So that's one way you would be able to communicate, and then the other people can respond to your note, or maybe you can reply to other existing notes. Anyway, that's all on the activity stream of the concept task. So back here, in case you get lost, you can always just go back to the project, click on assets again, and we see, okay, so that's the design pipeline step. Oh, here's modeling, and these are assigned to me because I'm the modeler. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to start work from scratch on this car. It was just flipped to ready to start by the production manager, signaling to me that the prerequisites are good to go, or at least enough to start work. So what I want to do is I want to launch Maya. The way I can launch Maya is by right-clicking, and here I see this menu. Now, if I had not logged into the Shotgun desktop app, this menu would not be available. So if you don't see this menu, it's because you did not successfully log into the Shotgun desktop app and go into your project. So if I click on any of the white space on any of these regions here inside of the task, right click on it, I should say, then I can go ahead and launch Maya by clicking Maya. So that's going to take a second. And meanwhile, I'm going to show you where all the files that we're going to be working with are, because that's one point of confusion when people are using Shotgun. Are the files in the Shotgun web app? Are they in the desktop app? But the truth is that the files are actually inside of the network shared drive. And actually, I'll show you that as we start creating a file. So we've just opened Maya from Shotgun, and we're going to start work. We see our tasks over here, so we click on the car, and there's nothing there. If we clicked on a task we had some previous work, we would see the file that we were working on. But for the car, there is no file. There's nothing there. So we're starting from scratch. The way to start from scratch is by clicking New File. If for whatever reason this box doesn't pop up, as long as you launched it from the web app or from the desktop app, you should have the Shotgun menu. Then you go to File Open, and that launches this Shotgun application inside of Maya. So you go to My Tasks, you go to Car, and there's nothing there, so we click New File. We do not want to save the previous scene as it had nothing in it. So it created a new file, but it's still untitled and unsaved. So where did it create this file? So if we go to the data share, Magic Shotgun demo film, of course it'll be your respective project, and then you go to Assets, Character, Car, Model, Work, Maya. This is where the files are going to be stored. It seems like a long, convoluted path in order to get to the model, but this is going to be 100% uniform throughout all of the productions, certainly throughout the production. So that means that there's going to be no deviation, that whenever you want to go to a working model for an asset, you know exactly where you go. You go to Assets, Character, Car, Model, boom, you know where to find it. There's no ambiguity. Bob didn't put it in a different path than Sarah put it. It's all going to be in the same consistent hierarchy. So it is a little long, but with practice and with the integrations, it's not that much. It's not that overwhelming. It's not that complicated. Okay, so this is where it's going to be creating the files. Shotgun itself is just going to be keeping track of the metadata. So now here we see it's untitled and there's actually no file here yet. So the next step is to go, now we have a save option, which we did not have before. Before we only had File Open. So now we clicked File Open in the context of the asset and the task. So now we want to go ahead and do a file save. So we want to give it a name. We'll probably put our name first and then say car model, so we know who worked on the file, who's working on the file, and what it is. And Maya is going to use versioning starting at version 1. If version 1 existed, this would be version 2. That's what this check mark means. Use the next available version. And we're going to make it a Maya ASCII. So here we can see we're in the project demo film 2019, the model task for the asset car. Okay, that's all looking good. Um, Once I've named this, it's going to give me a preview of what the file name is going to be, and we can see it's artist2 car model.version001.ma. Looks good. And then it's going to put it inside of that directory I showed you, inside model work Maya. So if we click save, now we see that we are indeed there, and it has actually created the file. So here is the file. So now I'm ready to start work. So let's start this car asset. All right, boom, boom, little more here, a little bit there, perfect. Okay, so there's our car model. Now let's say, it's the end of the day, I want to stop work. How do I save this? Do I use Shotgun? No. You use a regular file save. Remember, we've created a file, so we're working inside of this file. So we just go ahead and save it, and we're done. We could close Maya and come back tomorrow and get to work. Keep working on version 1. No big deal. Now let's say I was going to do a big change where I'm going to be merging vertices or maybe dramatically changing the UVs, something that it's not easy to go back to or come back from. So there I would want to create a new version of the file so that I could always come back to version 1 after I make this dramatic change, just in case I need to. In that case, where it's not just small little changes that I could Control S or file save, in the case that I want to actually create a whole new version, then I would use Shotgun. I go to Shotgun and I say file save. It's automatically going to know which file it is, and it's going to go to version 2. So then I just click save, and here I see it's created version 2, right? And then now maybe I can do my dramatic changes, like let's say I insert some edge loops and do this. Now it looks more like a house, but I'm living dangerously and taking chances, right? I still have version 1 I can go back to just in case, but okay. Wow, that looks so much cooler. All right, so now this is version 2, and it's good to go. So I just Control S or file save. Version 2 is done. So that's how you would work, and why you would use the Shotgun save is to create drastic new versions. Now let's do the final part of this story where you actually want to create a review. You want to signal to the production manager that, listen, I've been working on the model and I think it's ready for review. So that's a two-step process. Number 1, you want to make sure your model is clean, like no transformation information, no history. So we would go and delete by type history, modify, freeze transforms. Okay, so now everything is clean, it's ready to go. Now what I would do, this is just because now I want a review. I've modeled it and I want people to look at it and give me some feedback. I think it looks great. It's ready for prime time. So I go to Shotgun and I say publish. I create a screenshot by clicking on that icon. It takes me into this mode where I can do a screenshot. And then I give a description. I say car model, nailed it. Thoughts? And then I go ahead and publish. So this is step 1 of 2. What the publish is going to do is it's going to automatically version my file to the next one. So that means that the published version 2, I'm not going to touch it anymore. Any future work is going to happen in version 3. And it's also going to put the file inside of published directory. So here it is. It put version 2 inside of published. So what's the difference between work and published? Work is, I don't know what state these are in. Like maybe model 3, I have no idea, or I'm not exactly sure, but these are works in progress. But when somebody in the production is ready to say, this file is good to go to be used in production, say by texturing or by rigging, they would know that they should go into published Maya and get the latest version that's in here. So it's a convention. There's nothing special about the file. It's exactly the same two files, except they live in different places. But the state of the published file is where people know. I'm going to reference things from in here. Work, it could be unstable. It might change. I'm not going to touch that. But for production purposes, I'm going to go into published. So that's all that means. So that's step one when you're ready for a review. You want to go to Shotgun Publish to auto version your current file to the next one, so any future work doesn't change what you published, the version you published. And it also makes a safe copy into the published directory where you will not be working. And everybody knows to reference that. So once you do all that, the final step is you need to create a version in Shotgun. The version is going to be a visual thing. So let's say, for example, I'm going to create a turntable. You probably want to do something more robust than this, but let's just set this up like this. Rotate Y 360 and whoops, and set key. Okay, so here's a turntable for people to look at the asset. I probably want to light it, make it look a lot better. Again, this is just a brief demo. So I have this turntable. I'm going to create a play blast. I want to save it as, I guess, an AVI. I don't have a QuickTime option. That's a shame. Anyway, so I'm going to save it as an AVI, quality 70, display size. Play with these settings to get what you want. And then we do want to save file, and I'm just going to save it to my desktop and just call it Artist2, which is my name for this demo. Car model version 003. Oh, sorry, it was version 2, the one I published. And then I'll go ahead and save and play blast. Okay, so now I have the play blast over here, and I'm going to go to the web app, and then I'm going to go to versions. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to go back to the context of my task. So I'm going to go to Project, Demo, Assets. And then I'm going to click on my task. So first of all, I should have set this to in progress because I am currently working on the car model right now. So then I'm going to click on the task model. I'm going to go to versions, and I'm going to create a new version. I'm going to drag the video in here, and I'm going to say car model for review. And then it's automatically going to fill in this information where it's going to say the version name, needed to give it a little update there for the version that I'm publishing. It's going to link to the car asset, the model task, and I also want to add the artist name. So I want to say, to let people know who created this. So with all this information filled out, I go ahead and say create version. So at this point, the very name version might be a little confusing. I know it confused me. I'm like, what do you mean create a version? Aren't I at version 3 in the Maya file? Like, what do you mean version? So you just have to know that in the context of the web application of Shotgun, they call versions either videos or images, things that people submit to be reviewed. That's called a version in the context of the Shotgun web application. It's not like a version, like a different version of a file. So inside of the web the context of the web application, that's what we mean by creating versions. So what's the point? Why do we create this version? Well, now with this version, this is what's going to be reviewed. So when people look at all the versions that have been submitted for this project, they'll see, okay, here are all the different versions. So they can click on the car model, and I think it didn't take because of the .vo02.avi format in the name. So Windows confused the file type. So let me first of all drop this into a folder so I can see file types, file extensions, and let me just try dropping it like this without the V002, although maybe the AVI codec doesn't quite work, because what we were supposed to see was a video. Let me give it a second and see if it uploaded and decoded itself correctly. No, it didn't. Does it give me any type of warning? Attempt 2. Let me not change this name here. And let's link it to the car asset and the model task. And let's make sure the artist. And let's create and see. It is a pretty big file, so maybe the one I created originally works, and it's just going to take it a second to upload. Let's see. So right now what's happening is we've sent this AVI file up in, so this file is going to live on the Shotgun server. So we've sent that AVI file up to the Shotgun server. It's downloaded it. Now it needs to decode it to make sure that it can review it properly. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what was the problem? The problem was that I created it and I added this .v002 to the name, which was not a good call. So that was a mistake. So the way to create it is just click on the, if you go back to assets, and you just click on model, which is the task name that you're assigned to. And then you go to versions, you create a new version, just drag it in, don't change this name, and it should work. So what's the point of versions? If you look at this version here, this is what's going to be reviewed. So this gives an opportunity for people to look at what's happening, maybe pause it here and do some annotations like, oh, this part here, needs more definition. You could comment on your own versions, but it'll usually be whoever's assigned to review it, the supervisor, that'll be giving you direction on how to go. This is just prompting me like, hey, you had some annotations. Are you sure you don't want to save them? And I'll say, okay, yep, I don't want to save them. So that's how you submit a review. You, first of all, inside of Maya, you go to Shotgun, Publish, which creates that copy of the file, versions this current one to the next one, and puts that copy into the Publish directory. And then the second step is creating the play blast, the turntable, and creating a version to be reviewed. And that's the life cycle. It's just rinse and repeat. Now, if this version is not approved, you'll conduct dailies or weeklies, and you'll get some feedback, and then you'll set your task, which is another important step. Where we go to back to assets, you want to signal to your production that they need to look at this. So you set this status to pending review. Like, hey, I did a version. Please take a look. And then what'll happen from there is they'll say, hey, that model looks great, good to go, and then they would final this task, or they would say, it still needs work, so it would go back to in progress. And that's the flow. That's the gist of how to work with Maya integrated with Shotgun.